through the inevitable punches life throws at us, the curveballs. Like, we want you to be consistent. It's never about, starting and stopping. It's about sticking with it no matter what. And part of that is learning how to roll our sleeves up when we can, learning how to say, all right, I'm just going to focus on damage control or just maintenance when we need to. Resilience, self-compassion, adaptability, like those are all things that are critical components of consistency, which is the goal here.
Hey there, Adam. I'm feeling pretty excited because guess what? Summer is right around the corner. My kids are getting out of school and things are going to change. I know you're in the same boat. How are you feeling about it?
Same. The last day of school is on Friday. Absolutely insane. Woo! Yes.
We've got one more week after that. I feel like it's been a long, slow slide into summer. And I don't know, it puts me in the mind of, what the heck are we going to do? Right? Like, I get a little nervous because having the kids home changes a lot of things for me. Do you feel that way about it?
Yeah, I mean, schedules are totally different. The structure that we once had is no longer there. It's tough. The kids want later bedtimes. Just things are definitely different.
Yeah, I want an earlier bedtime. I think I'm going to push mine up to like 8 o'clock. But I think, no, in all seriousness, like this is an important topic because I feel like a lot of us struggle with this, right? Like we go from a pretty set routine. We're in our rhythm. We know what's coming. We know what to expect. We know when we get what we need. And then all that changes. And I see a lot of people struggle with this. They go from all routine all the time to no routine, total flexibility, and it's like a yard sale. Like, we don't know what's going on. We don't know how much anything costs. Bring it up here and name your price. Right? Like, do you see this happening?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think it's interesting though, because it's like, the same structure and, rigidity of demands and schedules and all of that, like that holds people back. It's the same thing people say, oh, well, now I have all this flexibility, I don't have time, holds them back too. And I think the bottom line is we have to find a way to make it work no matter what. And there's some people, and we want all of our people and all of our clients, and we're going to do everything we can to help you get there, that thrive no matter what, right? And that's, I think, the objective of this video, is to give you some things and tools and tips to think about so you're able to thrive no matter the schedules.
Yes, exactly. And I think, it's kind of that, it's like figure out the balance. Like, too much freedom doesn't work for a lot of people. Not enough freedom doesn't work for a lot of people. Like, where's the middle ground? So, all right. So here's how I try to think about transitions. And by the way, this applies to more than just like school year to summertime, yes. Right? Like, this would apply to travel, any kind of travel, work travel, fun travel, whatever kind of travel, camel travel. Wherever you're going, whatever you're taking to get there, this will apply. Also, what else? Holidays,
vacations, a work trip, a 3-day weekend, like any time where you're no longer in your set schedule, for some people that is like, oh, the wheels are going to come off. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And it's an opportunity for them to kind of quote unquote stop. And what we're trying to do is stick with it no matter what. It shouldn't be this off and on mentality. But in order to do that, we need to adjust some of our thinking.
Yes. So how do we do that? Okay, first things first. You got to think ahead. You got to say to yourself, what the heck do I still need every day, even though my routine is about to get upended, right? Adam, I have to have coffee every day. I have to have coffee, and I prefer my homemade coffee. I think everybody who listens to this podcast probably knows that. I know you know that, right? And we're getting ready to go through a pretty crazy transition here in my home, not just with the summertime coming, but everybody's moving into one spot because we're having some housework done. And the first thing I thought of, guys, when I said, okay, I have to think about my routine and how it is absolutely just going to get blown to smithereens. Where am I going to make my coffee every day? And I know that sounds crazy, but like, it triggers all the goodness in my day, and I have a little routine. So I figured that out. But this is my point. You have to think ahead. You have to say to yourself, what are the most important things that help me do my best, feel my best each and every day, no matter what I have going on? And then you have to try and get creative about how you integrate that into the new chaos. Right, Adam?
Yes. What you're sharing also kind of brings me on this thing I've been thinking about lately, this idea of like pleasure versus happiness. And like there's things that make us feel good, but they don't necessarily make us feel good for all that long. And I think the distinction between pleasure and happiness is really important. And the way I distinguish it is pleasure is easily attained, right? It doesn't take any effort, right? You can easily open a bag of chips or a bag of cookies or, turn on Netflix. Certainly feels pleasurable, but there's no effort. And I find that when there's a little effort to feel good, then it leads to more of a feeling of satisfaction and happiness. And just a little side tangent here, because I think sometimes we feel like, oh, self-care or that makes me feel good. Like anything that makes us feel good and then makes us feel bad afterwards doesn't ultimately make us feel good. On the flip side, there's things that make us maybe not feel so good in the moment. We struggle, there's a challenge, but then we feel great afterward, right? That could be a tough workout. That could be a sauna session, whatever it might be. Like in that moment, there's some struggle, there's some effort, but then you feel good. So pardon me for the interruption, for the side tangent, but I do think it's worth thinking about that. What makes you feel good before, during, and after is the key. And for you, I mean, obviously coffee is coffee. That's great. I mean, it's, but it just made me think of that and I wanted to share it.
No, I think it's a very good distinction, right? Because I even mentioned like there's a little ritual to it, right? So it's definitely a happiness factor for me.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, oh, and listen, we see it on the weekends, right? Oh, there's no routine, there's no schedule, everything just goes, but I wait a minute. There is a routine. Remember, your body can't tell the difference between Tuesday and Sunday. It can't tell the difference between living in a full house and living in a basement. It can't tell the difference between the United States and Russia. It has a routine. It has a rhythm. Your meals can be your routine. Your meals can be your structure. It might change a little bit, but guess what? Your body still needs the same things it always needs. So if you need a little bit of structure, right? Like there's just too much freedom to some of these summer days where it's like, oh, we don't have to get up till 10 and we can kind of lounge around. Your body still needs you to do some of the
By the way, your kids
things.
Are sleeping till 10?
Oh, my daughter does.
Oh, I guess once they get older.
My son is an early riser like me. So we get up and, have coffee together. No, I'm not giving my kid coffee. Forget that. He doesn't need it. But yeah, like use meal times and, exercise times as your gentle summer structure. No, it does not need to look like your school routine or your at-home routine if you're traveling. But there's your structure. There's your routine. And I remind people of that. Like, listen, it's not just freewheeling here. Your body still needs you at regular intervals. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point. Like our body doesn't know where we are. Doesn't know what time zone we're in, whatever. And it's like I always go back. Like our brain is the largest label machine in the world, right? Like we can either label something as like fun and interesting and adventurous, or annoying, frustrating. Like I don't have a routine. I don't have my usual coffee. Like that's up to us. Like our body doesn't really know that. It's what we tell ourselves about it. And, why not tell yourself something interesting about it, right? So, for example, if you're traveling, instead of saying like, you know what, I can't do my usual workout, I'm going to try something different, and I'm going to look at it as an opportunity to try something different versus, my, normal routine is, thrown off. Or, for some people, eating at restaurants can certainly be a challenge and can certainly lead to a lot of temptations. But I choose to reframe it as, you know what, I don't have to buy, clean, cook, prep, or anything, food. I get to just order something on a piece of paper and it comes out to me, right? And it's like easy. And I just view it as a wonderful source of convenience. Sure, there's some temptations at times, but that's it. It's easy, right? So I think how we view the summer, of course, or these vacations, or a work trip, whatever it might be that throws us off our usual, we might as well label it as positive, because it can be if we choose to make it that.
Absolutely. It's an opportunity, right? Like above all else, it's an opportunity, guys, to get in there and learn something new. Adam has said this for years, especially when somebody moves, that it's like a great time to establish new routines, to choose some new behaviors. Because when we get pulled out of routine, right? Like we get pulled out of that autopilot position that we've been in because our brain just keeps replicating. It just knows what to do, right? And all of a sudden we're thrown off. All of a sudden the brain it's awake. Okay, what's going on? I need to be more aware. I have to know all the things. It's a super time to be like, hey, could I do something different? Could, like he said, like learn something new, try a different workout, develop a new habit. Like, I don't know. Do you floss? Are you a good flosser? Because if not, well, if you're moving, maybe it's a great time to become an awesome flosser.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry.
I don't know. What? Go ahead.
No, new environments, a vacation, whatever it might be, new work schedules, new, routines. It creates new, associations, right? And we might as well take advantage of them. But it leads me to this point that, like, I'll often ask clients, like, when they come back from vacation, I'll be like, they'll be like, oh, it was heaven. It was unbelievable. I loved it so much. And then I always ask, like, well, what did you love about it? And it's always a few simple things. It's like, well, I read every day for 20 minutes, like, or 30 minutes, or whatever it might be. Or I really was able to, like, kind of eat my meals, at a really slow pace, and it was nice. And it was like, you know what can we take from vacation and bring it back into our everyday life, right? And reading for 20 minutes is certainly doable. And sometimes we feel like we have to be in this crazy exotic place to feel like, this is my happy place. But, like, sometimes our happy place could just be doing something, and just being intentional about it. But it's fascinating how often it's just like, oh, I loved reading, for 20 minutes every day uninterrupted. And and people love that, right? And it's like they start incorporating that into their everyday life.
I love it. Bring a little vacation back home with you, right?
Yeah.
Integrate some of that. I love it. I think that's super smart. So I think let's kind of try to round this out now. The things you will get for working through these transition periods, whether it's school time to summertime, vacations, big moves, holidays, whatever it is, what you come out the other side of all of that with is newfound resilience, better flexibility and adaptability, and resilience, right? Like you can take some blows to your everyday routines and the way things are comfortably going and get back up and keep going. And Adam's favorite takeaway when you come through with all of this is
consistency.
That's it. Say it.
Gotta be consistent. After all, everything we're trying to do is helping you be consistent, right? Through the ups and downs, through the inevitable punches life throws at us, the curveballs. Like, we want you to be consistent. It's never about, starting and stopping. It's about sticking with it no matter what. And part of that is learning how to roll our sleeves up when we can, learning how to say, all right, I'm just going to focus on damage control or just maintenance when we need to. Resilience, self-compassion, adaptability, like those are all things that are critical components of consistency, which is the goal here.
Yes.
So, like, I think it's worth exploring, for you, like when you're embarking on a new routine or a new schedule, like what are things that are non-negotiables for you in order to feel your best?
I look for opportunities to exercise daily if I can, but if not, try to integrate movement into the activities I'm doing. So when I take trips, I check out if there's a gym nearby or if there are running trails. I love to explore running trails in new cities. So if I can stay near one or even run to get one, I make it a point to factor that into my day. That's a non-negotiable. And if I can't make time to set aside dedicated exercise time, then I'm like, okay, we're on our feet, we're walking, we're being active. The other thing is I do take time for myself every morning. Like I get up before everybody else. It's just non-negotiable. I need that time, whether I do yoga, if I can bring my mat. Sometimes you can't travel with a mat. Although I'm going to get me a travel mat because apparently you can get these travel mats that fold up really cool. So
There you
I'm
go.
gonna get one. And then I'm kind of a nerd like this, but I really try to stick to as close to possible bedtimes and wake up times for myself because I find that just sets me up to feel really capable to handle whatever comes each and every day. I'm not much for staying up too late and I don't like to sleep in. I can't. So I really try to honor that part about me, which sometimes might look like saying goodbye to the party early, but I'm okay with that because I rock it the next day if I get my sleep. So those are my non-negotiables. What about you?
I was just saying, I mean, it's really interesting though. Like what I'm hearing is at the end of the day, it's self-care and you've accepted and embraced perhaps that it's going to be a little like the things that you do every day to feel your best. And I always say like happiness, not pleasure, but happiness has a price of admission every day, right? We can't expect to feel our best if we're not doing what makes us feel our best, right? So for me, what makes me feel my best, movement, eating nutritiously, sleep, getting some quality time with my kids. Like those are all things that are non-negotiables for me. And the key thing though is doing them and accepting that it's going to be in a different capacity at a different level. And it seems like you've come to terms with when you're on vacation, when it's summer, whatever it be, you're going to do it. It just might look differently. And I think that mindset of it's not a question of if I'm going to do it, it's just a question of how.
Definitely.
And I think that's really important. And, that is ultimately the mindset we want you to take into this summer or whenever the next time you're worried about a change in environment or work or whatever it might be, right? It's not that you can't do it. You just have to be flexible and adaptable and allow yourself the grace to maybe do it a little less than you want to or eat a little differently. Like it's all about accepting that self-compassion also of not holding yourself to this degree of perfection that's just not realistic.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, Adam, that word consistency gets a little grippy for some people. And it's like, well, if I can't do it exactly how I've always done it or how I've been doing it, then I'm not consistent. But that's not it at all. I think a better definition of the consistency we're talking about is what you said a moment ago, which is it's not a matter of if I'm going to do it. It's just a question of how.
Yeah.
That's consistency. That's the consistency we talk about day in and day out. That's it. It's not if, it's how. How do I do it today?
Right. And that mindset though is so hard because as a recovering perfectionist, like it is still hard at times for me to be like, all right, well, I can't exercise the way I really want to, or I can't eat exactly the way I want to, but I know the alternative is certainly not ideal either, right? So you have to allow yourself to be flexible and you have to allow yourself to bend. And, as we called it, a few episodes ago, instead of what was the word we instead of like pivoting, we called it an upgrade, right?
Yes, yeah. I forget what the other one was. Upgrade, yeah.
It was an upgrade.
We changed it to upgrade. We did.
Right. So instead of pivoting or instead of changing, it's an upgrade because
it is.
It certainly is an upgrade because again, the alternative is not doing anything, right? Or saying, I'll start fresh once this is over, right? And it's fascinating because it's like funny because it's like there are some parents. It's like, all right, the summer's crazy. There's too much flexibility. Kids are all up, whatever. I'll wait until fall comes when there's more structure and routine. And then it's those same parents. It's like, oh, there's too much routine. There's too much structure. I can't do it. Like there's always a reason, right? And part of it is allowing yourself and committing to doing something no matter what, but allowing yourself to do less than you might want to do.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is once you commit to it's happening, the how shows up.
Yeah.
The path always shows up, right? Once it's just been decided, the path shows up. So I think it's like removing that back door for yourself.
So like use all these transition times as an opportunity to upgrade yourself, as an opportunity to improve, as an opportunity to challenge yourself, because that's where the magic happens. Right? That it's easy when it's easy, but it's not always easy. And lean on your coach, lean on us. We are here to support you. That is the beautiful part of this, right? That's why people have coaches. Like, they help them get through transitions. They help them, change their effort dials and plans. Like, that's what we're here for too.
Yes, absolutely. All right, guys. So gear up. Everybody start thinking ahead. What do you want to take into the next few months with you? Whether you're traveling, moving, summering, right? What is it that makes you feel happy, not just pleasured? And how can you creatively embrace it's going to happen and the how is coming? All right. And we'll develop resilience, flexibility, adaptability, and most of all, consistency so that we're healthy for life. Adam, anything else?
Love it.
All right. Guys, as always, love to hear from you. Take good care, and we'll see you next time.